All right. Well, good evening, everyone. I hope you're enjoying today. Oh, you hadn't let anybody in.
Yeah, they're coming in.
They're coming in. Good. That's great. My Zoom master over here, the wonderful and helpful Dale Hatchell, my bride, and uh, the best Zoom master anyone could ever have. But I'm excited that you're with me tonight as we share on this eliminating procrastination. And we'll talk some more about that. Right now, we're going to give everybody just one more minute. As I said, this will start at 8:31, and on my clock, it says 8:30. And as soon as we hit that button, we're going to go. Is everybody in the room, Dale?
We have 11 people in. I will just go ahead and start.
Okay, good. That's right. Because, being an old military guy, I'm very concerned about punctuality. I want to be on time all the time. And so it is 8:31 Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to start our presentation tonight. Thank you all for joining me. I know some of you know who I am, and then some of you are brand new to my webinars. And let me just take a minute to introduce myself. I'm Jim Hatchell. I live in Columbia, South Carolina, actually in Lexington, South Carolina, right outside of Columbia. I've been married to my beautiful Zoom master for 46 years. We've been together, and I just can't do much without her. And I served 34 years in the Air Force. And from there, I moved into working for state government and federal government. And a few years ago, I decided it was time for me to do what Jim wanted to do. And I left all of those jobs behind, and I started my own coaching and training business. And now I do this because I have a passion for helping other people. So there's one other thing I should tell you as I talk about our presentation tonight, is that I am a recovering procrastinator. I am a recovering procrastinator. You might be laughing at that. You may be on that journey yourself. But my journey includes some very difficult times as a result of procrastination. And yes, I had a very successful career in the military, I had a very successful career in federal government, and a very successful career in state government. But I still struggled with procrastination. And today, I still have those moments, but I've learned lessons over my journey on how to deal with this success killer. And tonight I'm going to share a few things with you to help you if you're struggling with procrastination. And if you're like me, I'm sure you're in that category. So thanks again for being with me. And tonight I will share about a 30,000 foot level view of some of the things that we need to think about when we're dealing with procrastination. Let me begin by just giving you a little bit of information about procrastination. I think everybody knows what procrastination is. It's simply the action of delaying or putting off or postponing something that you know you need to do. I love what Jim Rohn says when he talks about the law of diminishing intent. Because the law of diminishing intent is really just about procrastination. And it says that if you don't do what you need to do right at that point in time, chances of you ever doing it will never happen. And I've been there. In fact, my story on procrastination started right after my wife and I got married. And I was managing our finances and taking care of the checkbook. And for me, it was pretty much one of those situations where I would pay our bills right at the last minute. And something happened. I got a little behind and I kept putting them off and putting them off and putting them off. And one day I got one of those pink slips in the mail and said, your bill is due. And if you don't pay it, we're going to cut off your electricity. I knew at that point that I needed to do something different in my journey so that that wouldn't happen again. And so what I did, I turned over the checkbook to my beautiful wife. And guess what? She took care of that meticulously, never, ever late on any payments. And if you're a friend of the DISC assessment process, you know that that might mean she's got a little bit of C on her side. And it does, because she really did a great job in managing our finances and our checkbooks. And then a few years ago, with all the new technology and everything, she gave it back to me and I plugged it into an app, and now everything is automatic. So it took part of that procrastination away from me. But you know, procrastination can cause lots of problems in different ways. You know, it can cause marriages to fail. It can cause financial issues. It can even cause self-esteem issues when we don't do what we need to do. You may have experienced that in your own journey. And tonight we're going to talk about some of the things that cause procrastination. And then I'm going to share a few tips on how we can be better at getting over, not getting better at procrastination, but getting rid of procrastination. I gave a speech the other day at Toastmasters, and the speech title was something about how to be good at procrastination. Well, then I told them the true title is Eliminating Procrastination. It is based on this same webinar that I'm doing right now. So, according to much research, most of us procrastinate. And I'm pretty sure that you do as well. I know that while I'm better at it, I still find myself procrastinating. But the serious issue is that about 20% of our population are chronic procrastinators. When you reach that level of procrastination, you do have issues. You do have problems. Failure then becomes a regular option for you because you're not doing what you need to do. Now, I hope that you are not at that level. I hope that you're here tonight because you're a procrastinator like I am, and you want to take some steps to get better at getting things accomplished. Not so much about being a better procrastinator, as I said in my Toastmasters speech. So we're going to share a few things tonight that I think will help you. There are some telltale signs that we can look at that help us know whether we are struggling with this issue of procrastination. You know, and here's another aside. I used to tell people all the time that I was so good at procrastinating, I could teach a class on it. Well, I'm teaching a class on it tonight, but I'm teaching the other side of it. But here's some things we need to look for to help us identify if we are, in fact, on that side of procrastination where we really need to take some steps to improve. You might say that you have difficulty coping with change or transition. If you're experiencing that, then you might be on that borderline of dealing with chronic procrastination. Or you're lost without a roadmap. If you don't know where to go, or you're chronically late. You know, there was one thing in my career that almost cost me everything, is that I was one of those individuals that was chronically late. Not a lot, 3 to 4 minutes here, 4 to 5 minutes there, but chronically, every day type late. Fortunately, I learned ways to get beyond that. The one thing that helped us as children, because they got us up earlier. Your to-do list is never ending. Now, you ever hear of people having a to-do list that is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages long? Those folks have a problem, not just with procrastination, but with identifying the priorities in their lives. You may not want to focus on the most essential things that need to get done. And if you're experiencing any of those, then you're like me. You've had to deal with some of the most difficult parts of procrastination. You know, and overcoming procrastination can be very challenging. So let's look at some of the common reasons that people procrastinate. And you'll see some of them that you might recognize, And I know that I found a couple that I recognize. So the fear of making mistakes. John Maxwell wrote a great book called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And in that book, he talks about intentionality. And in that chapter of his book, he talks about gaps that keep us from being intentional. And one of those things that keep us from being intentional is this thing called perfectionism. Any of you perfectionists out there? I know that I've been down that road. And my wife raised her hand over there saying she's one of those. But perfectionism can be one of the things that prevents us from doing the things that we need to do. And sometimes people say, well, perfectionism is a good thing because as a perfectionist, I want things to be absolutely perfect and correct. Well, that's good, except that you will never get anything done if you can't get it perfect every time, because perfectionism doesn't occur in our lives. Perfectionism is one of those things that holds us back. We want to try to do our best, but being a perfectionist actually creates more procrastination in our lives than if we would just go do something. If we fail, that's okay. That means we're doing something. But if you're not doing anything, then you'll never get to where you need to go. Another thing that is really a challenge for a lot of people is that fear factor. And I know each of you has experienced this at some point in your life. The fear of failing or the fear of succeeding, whatever it is. But fear is one of those deep-seated emotional things that can hold us back, that can prevent us from doing the things that we need to do. I've been there because I have allowed fear to prevent me from doing things that I know that if I had done them, and while I don't have any regrets, I do know that I could have done things differently on my journey. And I feared that thing we call failure, about losing popularity. I'm a high D, and I'm concerned that people might take advantage of me. And if I fail, then somebody's going to take advantage of me. And whatever your personality style might be, you have a fear as well. But that fear of failure can truly hold us back. And in fact, can prevent you from doing the simplest task that needs to be accomplished. It's not just a fear of failure. There's also that fear of success. Some people fear succeeding because it might mean that they will be asked to do more. And when we're asked to do more, then that means that we're going to be called on to succeed more. That puts a lot of pressure on us. And pressure is one of those things that can prevent us. Now, here's another one of the things that I really think is important to think about that prevents us from doing the things we need to do, that causes us to procrastinate. The simple lack of motivation. So I've heard a story about a guy one day who was sitting in his desk and he wasn't getting anything done. And his boss walked up and said, "Why aren't you doing anything?" He says, "I'm just not motivated. Nothing has motivated me. Nobody's come around to motivate me to do what I need to do." And his boss says, "Well, what if he never shows up? I guess he'll never be motivated to do anything." But motivation is related to the expectations that people put on us, that we put on ourselves. And as we fail to do those things, we increase our procrastination and we push ourselves closer and closer to being that chronic procrastinator who doesn't get anything done and who can eventually cause themselves great harm and failure. Find the motivation. There's always something to inspire you. And if you're waiting for somebody else to motivate you, I don't think it'll ever happen. That motivation has to come from within. You have to look inside of yourself and find out what it is that's going to motivate you to take the steps to overcome this thing we call procrastination. Lack of interest. It's just not something that interests me. It's not something that I want to do. I don't care. It's not one of my to-do lists. It's not on my fun factor. It's not one of the things that raises me up and gets me inspired. Well, you know what? Sometimes in our lives, we have to do things that aren't interesting to us. And if we continue to expect everything to be interesting to us, then we might not ever get everything done that we need to get done. The example that I heard the other day when I was talking to someone about procrastination is that he talked about changing diapers as a new dad. He says, I don't like to change diapers, but I know it's something I have to do and I have no interest in it. You might compare it to filing papers or whatever it is that you have no interest in. But find something about the task that interests you and motivates you to go and get it done. Here's a great one for today's world: distractions. You know what? There are 10 million distractions. And today, one of the biggest ones we're having to face is this pandemic that we're living under. It has changed our entire world. The way we do business, the way we do family, the way we do church, the way we do everything has changed. But for me, my biggest distractor in this area is called social media. And while I need social media to help me do my business because I am a complete online organization now, I get distracted because of all those other posts that come along that I don't need to be facing, that I don't need to be reading, that I don't need to be looking at. All those golf videos I don't need to be looking at. Especially right now with the weather changing, I'm probably not going to get to go play golf very much in the next few days. But getting distracted can be anything. It can be working in your yard. It can be cooking. It could be baking bread. By the way, which is something I've picked up during the pandemic, and I can promise you it is a huge distractor for me because I can go bake bread and spend hours and hours in the preparation process. But those distractions are the things that cause us to procrastinate more and more. What are your distractions? Why don't you pop something in the chat? Let me know what your number one distraction is. We'll get back to that one in a minute. So what do we need to do? What do we need to do to get beyond all of those things that we've just talked about that are causing us to procrastinate? Well, one of my favorite topics all the time is to talk about our mindset. And one of the things that we have to tell ourselves is that I am not a procrastinator. I am a person who gets things done. You know, Dr. Carol Dweck wrote a book called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. And in her book, she talks about two types of mindsets: a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. That fixed mindset accepts things as the status quo and says, I can't grow, I can't change. This is the way it is, and it's the way it's going to be. And that's what procrastinators do, especially chronic procrastinators. On the other side of that is the growth mindsets. Those are the people like you who are on this webinar tonight who have a desire to take your growth to the next level, to end the procrastination so that you can get more done. I love the book that Mel Robbins wrote called The 5 Second Rule. In her book, she talks about a process where you simply go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. I'm betting everybody on here tonight has read or at least listened to Mel Robbins in some form talk about her journey and how the 5 second rule changed her world about getting things done. But it starts with our mindset. And if we accept that we are procrastinators, then we will be procrastinators. But if we choose not to be, and we grow and we work to become better at getting things done, then we absolutely will get better at getting things done and we will stop procrastinating. It's your choice. Let's face those fears. What are your fears? What are the negative outcomes that happen to you? That fear of failure or something else that is holding you back, something that's keeping you in that comfort zone, something that won't let you break through that terror barrier to get to what you need to do. We all have them and we all need to find ways to break through that fear. You know what fear stands for, right? False evidence appearing real. So I don't know what the true statistic is, but I have heard that 90% of what we fear never happens. So go do it. Don't let it stop you. Here's another assignment for you. Throw it in the chat. What's your greatest fear? Now, we all have them. We all have fears. But what's yours? What is one thing you want to get over so that you can move forward in your journey? Here's some questions you might want to ask yourself. What am I afraid of? What is it that I am afraid of doing that's holding me back? Is it the result or is it the action that I need to take that's holding me back? What is the worst possible consequences that would happen if I took the action that I needed to take? As I used to tell my wife all the time, the Russians are not going to attack us. Go do it. You know, the consequences can't be that bad. Now, I don't suggest that you go try to jump off a cliff and fly. That might not work. As one of my mentors says, he talks about jump and build your wings on the way down. I don't think that will work if you jump off a cliff. Let's be smart about that. What could happen if you ignore the situation like I did? Like I didn't pay my bills and I wasn't sending the checks off at the right time. What happened? I got that pink slip saying your electricity is going to get cut off. And it wasn't just the electricity, it was the water. It was the mortgage payment. It was the car payment. But when my wife and I sat down and worked through that, and I realized that we couldn't ignore this situation, we took action and we changed. And that was a real transforming moment for us in our financial journey. So why are you putting this off? I don't know. I don't know why I'm putting this off. Which one of those issues that we just mentioned are you putting it off for? What will I gain in the long run by putting this off? What will it take? What will you gain in the long run if you put it off? Got a couple more for you. How often do people actually die from doing the task that you're putting off? If it's one of those kind of tasks, I bet you everybody's putting it off. but I can bet you that most people's tasks and the things that they need to do are not life-threatening. Last one. Am I trying to convince myself of something that is not true? Am I trying to convince myself of something that is not true? So how do we get through these? The first thing we need to do, let me see if I missed a slide there just to make sure. Yeah, the first thing we need to do is, as we start planning and figuring out how to overcome all of this that's getting in our way, the first thing that we want to do is we want to make a list. And I don't mean an expansive list. I mean a list of the 10 most important things that you need to do. And I'm sure that each of you on this webinar has heard of the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule. What I want you to do is I want you to take that list of 10 things. Then I want you to identify the 2 most important things that you need to get done. And then I want you to break those down even further into the lowest common denominator that you can, so that you can start taking baby steps, baby steps, baby steps until you accomplish the task that you need to take. Trying to bite off the whole chunk at one time instills fear and creates what we are talking about, procrastination. And if you want to get beyond procrastination, you got to manage it, bring it into a smaller size so that you can work through the process. So start by developing baby steps. The next thing we want to do is, that didn't work, is to remove those distractions. So my wife and I have talked about this a lot, about how do we remove distractions from our lives. She likes a little thing called a Pomodoro. So how does that Pomodoro remove distractions? Well, first, if you're familiar with Pomodoro, a Pomodoro is a timer. And you take that timer and you set specific times to work on specific tasks for a specific amount of time. And you do that until you get that task completed. And you don't move on to another task until you have actually completed that Pomodoro. It helps you focus. Some other things we talked about is cutting off our cell phones, our smartphones, and putting them away, turning off the volume, turning off the vibration, removing them from our presence so that we can focus on the things that we need to do. Now, I don't know what your biggest distractions are, but for us, it's our phones, it's our iPads, it's our guitars, it's our whatever. But for us, this phone gets in our way. And so we have to make specific steps to avoid that. Now, there's some things that you can do to help you in this process, like block unnecessary websites. Remove apps that are distracting that you're not using. I know that's a hard thing for us to think about, especially right now. If you've got games on your phone, get them off. I don't have any games on my phone anymore, which is a good thing. I used to have a golf game on my phone and it would take up all of my time and I never got anything done. Put it on airplane mode. There are hundreds and hundreds of ways for us to eliminate the distractions, but we have to choose to do that. What's your biggest distraction and what can you do to eliminate that distraction? Think about that. Tackle the hard stuff first. You know what we want to do? We want to work on, as I was talking about that list of 10 and the Pareto principle, the ones we want to work on are the 10 bottom ones or the 8 bottom ones because they're easier. Those first 2 are the hardest ones, the ones that we need to be working on. So we need to work on the hard things first. And you know what? If you work on the hard things first and you get it done, it creates momentum. It creates energy. It helps you get going and moving in the direction that you need to go. I know when I work on something and I get it done, it gives me excitement. It gets me want to go do more. And so I work on that next thing and I get it done. And before I know it, I'm getting more done. And that's the whole goal of why we're here tonight is how can we get more done? How can we stop procrastinating and get more done? Work on getting those hard things done first. And I promise you that it will create an energy and a momentum in you that will cause you to get more done. And this is the biggest one, a 2-minute rule. 2-minute rule. Think about things from a 2-minute rule with your mindset. I can do anything for 2 minutes. Take 120 seconds and go do what you need to do. Now, sure, it might take longer than that, but if you can take 2 minutes and focus and put all of your energy into something, it's going to give you, again, the momentum to move forward and get more done. Take some time to really focus on what has to get accomplished. And the next one, whoo-hoo. This one right here is the king of the mountain. It is the most important thing that we can do as it relates to eliminating procrastination. We have to hold ourselves accountable. This is a significant motivator. And if you're not able to do this, then it's time for you to find an accountability partner, someone who is willing to help you on that journey. I'm excited because I am a part of a team where I serve as an accountability partner for a group of people who want to get things done. And I help them every week work through a process where we have an accountability partner group, and we have a spreadsheet with all of the things that we want to get done, and we use that to cause action. And when we can create action, we get things done. It's kind of like an action academy, if you want to call it that. But we hold each other accountable. And when we have accountability partners, we have a tendency to stay focused and get things done. If you need an accountability partner, why don't you let me know? I may be able to help you with that. No more excuses. It's time to get going. It's time to quit making up things, reasons, excuses for not getting things done, especially right now. I mean, you can blame the pandemic, or you can say the pandemic is here to help me get motivated and do the things I need to do. You know what? You can be stressed out. You can take risks. You can be uncertain. You can be old. You can be young. You can be whatever. But you need to stop making excuses. You know, and when we stop making excuses, guess what happens? Anybody want to guess? You're right. Things get done. And that's what it's all about. That's the bottom line. To eliminate procrastination, it's simply about getting things done. And if you can do these simple steps, won't happen tonight, it won't happen tomorrow, it might not happen the next day, but I promise you that it will make a difference. You know, my friend John Maxwell says this. He says, success doesn't happen in a day, but it happens in your activities every day. It's about each step that you take. It's about the journey that you're on. And if you will take the steps every day, you will eliminate your procrastination. It's time to put this into practice. Who wants to be accountable? Who wants to take on that responsibility of being fully accountable for getting things done? No more excuses, no more fear, no more this, no more that. It's time to get started. It's time for you to step up and put that procrastination in a jar, put a tight lid on it, and put it in the cabinet where no one can see it, and you can get things done. When we do that, we certainly can accomplish more. We can accomplish much more. Now, I don't want you to get laziness and procrastination mixed up, because laziness is totally something different. And we're not talking about laziness, because laziness is simply about people who don't want to get up. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. They are just lazy. Procrastination is about people who want to get things done, but just find things to get in their way. And we can overcome those things that get in our way. Now, I want to share some resources with you. So Dale, if you can pop that list I sent you in the chat, I would appreciate that. She's looking at me like, what did you send me? I don't remember that. If you don't get it in the chat tonight, don't worry. I will put it out so that you can get to it. But it is a group of websites that help you find ways to get beyond that procrastination, beyond what I'm sharing with you tonight. Also, for those of you who are here tonight, there's going to be a special gift for you. I have an ebook that I'm going to share with you on no procrastination that will help you as well. But I just wanted to just share with you this information tonight, because success is within your reach. It's within all of our reach. If we just take the initiative, if we're intentional in our actions, if we do the things that we know we need to do in a timely fashion, we all can and will reach the success that we desire. I hope that the information I shared with you tonight, that you found some value in the message, that you can take what I shared and use it to eliminate procrastination in your journey. Because that's my goal, is to help you. My passion is about helping people. And tonight is just a step in that direction of helping other people. And I hope it was beneficial for you. If you're interested in other things that I'm doing, I just want to share one thing with you. I would encourage you. You've heard me talk about John Maxwell's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, and I have a on December the 10th, I am doing a webinar on the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, which is a 30,000 foot look at those 15 invaluable laws. I'll spend about 30 to 45 minutes talking about the laws. And we're going to do that on December the 10th at 8:30. I hope I don't have as many problems with the Zoom link as I did with this one. There was apparently an issue in Bitly that was causing the link not to work in Safari. I think we found a resolution to that. But we will get that information. In fact, if you're on my mailing list, you will get information that and may have already received something on that. today or yesterday.
Put everything in the
Yeah.
chat box.
So Dale said she put everything in the chat box. If you want to go out and look at that, you can reach there, including how to register for the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. But that's all I have for you tonight. We can open up the, we'll open, I'm going to do some things here so that I can actually see you folks.
Stop sharing your screen.
Let me stop this share. I got multiple computers going here, and
they can actually unmute themselves.
There you go. There you go.
And ask questions. Hi, Betsy.
I've got to go down.
And there's Chris. Welcome.
Hey, y'all. How are you?
We had lots of good feedback.
Good.
Woohoo. Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself, and if you have problems with the camera or anything like that, let me know and I can do it for you. Chris, you got a question or comment for Jim?
No, I'm good.
Muted, I think. Let's see. Chris, where are you?
I'm right here.
Just
Can you not
press-
hear me?
No, ask to unmute. No, that's. Hold on, Chris.
You know, I didn't test my
Can you hear her, Jim?
audio.
I cannot,
Oh, you know what?
because you got your headphones
Yeah,
on.
hold on.
And
Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I didn't test my audio before the Zoom, so I wasn't sure if I
I got
had
it.
something too low.
Go ahead. You have a question or comment?
No.
Okay. Thank you for coming. Anybody else?
You look beautiful.
You talking to me, Betsy, or you talking to Dale?
Can't see me.
I was talking to Chris.
Oh,
Oh,
But y'all all look great.
yeah. Well, I am glad that you're all here. I hope the information was of value to you. I know that I had a couple of folks that had said they wanted to join tonight that are part of the John Maxwell team. They just wanted to see how this looked and how it worked. Of course, most of y'all have been on webinars with me before, and you know that my passion is about helping people. And I'm glad to see all of you here tonight, and appreciate any questions or thoughts that you might have.
thank you, Jim. It's always a pleasure to hear all of your knowledge that you share with us. And you know, the first time I ever heard the word procrastinator, I was called a procrastinator. I was probably 7. So it's a lifelong issue for me.
Chris, you had a good comment here. I lost my motivation and started feeling lost self-worth after being furloughed. Being let go from my job of 21 years. I'm one of the fortunate ones that I wasn't employed long, and now I'm regaining my self-worth in my new job. Awesome.
Yeah.
There's been that's awesome. We're so happy for you, and you know we prayed about that for you.
Thank you so much. It worked.
You're always inspiring and helpful, and we had some really honest, open conversation going on. People were sharing, you know, believing in myself, holding accountable, and all their fears. They talked about. Everybody was very open and honest about all that. So I appreciate all of you sharing your thoughts, and you're still welcome to ask Jim a question. If you need to leave, that's great. If you want to ask him a question, feel free to come in. He's happy to share. Jim, what was the biggest fear you had to overcome? You said of people taking advantage of you. Can you think of one particular time where that happened?
I could probably tell you a number of times, but you know, especially when I was in recruiting, where people would, you know, poach and steal, and they weren't doing it, but my fear was that they were my prospects, and I can't tell you one time where someone actually did that. So it was something in my mind that I don't know why, but part of my personality created that fear of being taken advantage of.
Well, it's good to overcome those fears and realize, I put in the chat box, yeah, is it fact or fiction? That always helps me when you talk me
That's a
about
great
it.
one.
Is that fact or fiction?
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't hear any more comments or anything,
Well,
but we appreciate so much y'all being here with
Yeah.
us.
Thank
And
you.
be sure you registered. I'll put the link in for the next one. And if you want to share it with anybody, I know Jim would appreciate that a whole lot.
I actually have a schedule for the next 12 months with my webinars. I'll be doing at least one webinar a month, and I will be hosting some other things as well. If you're interested, you can find that information on my website in the next couple of days.
Cool. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I look forward to seeing you again in the near future. Stay cool, stay warm, whatever suits you, you know.
Stay warm.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.